Kian stood near the edge of the dusty landing pad. The red sky stretched over the mining colony like a heavy blanket. The air was thick with the smell of metal and dust. Machines hummed in the distance as workers moved with tired steps. This place was far from home, but it was where Kian found himself now. He looked across the open space and saw Zara. She was standing by a stack of crates, her armor shining under the weak sunlight. Her armor was heavy and made of dark metal plates. It looked strong enough to protect her from any danger. She was the colony's warrior, the one who kept people safe from threats outside. Zara noticed Kian watching her. She walked over with a confident stride. Her eyes were sharp, but there was a hint of curiosity in them. "What do you want, Kian?" she asked. Her voice calm but firm. Kian smiled, trying to hide his nervousness. "I want you," he said with a joke in his voice. Zara raised an eyebrow. For a moment, no one spoke. Then she laughed, a sound that was rare in this hard place. The laugh was light, almost like the wind passing through the rocky hills. Without saying anything else, Zara began to remove her armor. The heavy plates made a soft clinking sound as they came off one by one. Kian watched, surprised. No one ever took off their armor so openly in front of others. The armor was a shield, a way to stay strong. Under the metal, Zara's body was lean and strong. Her skin showed signs of many battles, but also care and strength. There were small scars, reminders of fights with alien creatures that tried to raid the colony. Kian realized that behind the tough armor was a person, not just a warrior. Zara's hands moved with skill and ease. She was used to this routine. As the last piece of armor came off, she looked at Kian with a small smile. "Now, what do you want?" she asked again, her tone softer this time. Kian felt his heart beat faster. He had not expected this. "I want to know the real you," he said quietly. Zara looked away for a moment, then back at him. "That is not easy," she said. "People here see only the armor. They do not look inside." Kian nodded. "I want to look," he said simply. She sat down on a nearby crate. The heat of the day made the metal warm under her skin. Kian joined her, feeling the tension ease between them. "Life here is hard," Zara began. "Outside the colony, there are dangers you cannot imagine, creatures that want to destroy us. The armor protects me, but it also keeps me apart." Kian listened closely. "Do you ever wish you could stop wearing it?" Zara thought for a moment. "Sometimes," she admitted. "But if I do, I feel weak. People need someone to protect them." Kian smiled softly. "Maybe people need someone who is real too." Zara looked at him, her eyes searching. "Maybe," she said. They sat quietly for a while, watching the sun move behind the Rocky Mountains. The colony was small, but it was home to many. Every day was a fight for survival, but moments like this made it worth living. Suddenly, a loud alarm broke the silence. Red lights flashed across the colony. Zara stood up quickly and put her armor back on with practiced speed. Kian watched her move, amazed by how easily she became the warrior again. "Something is coming," Zara said. "We have to be ready." Kian stood too, feeling a strange mix of fear and excitement. He had seen the danger from a distance, but now it was close. "Will you fight with me?" Kian asked. Zara nodded. "Yes," together, as they moved toward the command center. Kian realized that the armor was not just metal. It was the story of a person who had faced fear and pain but still chose to protect others. And maybe, just maybe, it was time for that story to change. The red lights in the colony flashed like warning stars. The air buzzed with tension as Kian and Zara hurried toward the command center. The alarm's sharp sound echoed through the metal halls and narrow streets. Every person in the colony stopped what they were doing and looked up. Something was coming, and it was close. Zara moved with quiet confidence. She was no longer just the woman without armor. She was the warrior, the protector. Kian felt his heart pounding, but tried to keep up. His legs burned, but he did not want to fall behind. They reached the command center, a small building made of strong metal and glass. Inside, the colony's leader, Marn, waited. His face was serious. The scanners show ships approaching fast. He said, "They are not friendly." Zara's eyes narrowed. "Raiders," she said. "They want to take our resources. They do not care about life here." Kian's fingers clenched. "What can we do?" Martin turned to Zara. "We count on you. You lead the defense." Zara nodded. "I will do everything I can." Kian watched her, feeling a mix of awe and worry. Zara was strong, but so was the enemy. He wondered how she kept going day after day, the room filled with sounds of boots and machines. Zara gave quick orders: set up barriers, prepare weapons. Everyone ready. Kian helped where he could. He was not a warrior, but he wanted to protect this place and Zara. The people of the colony worked fast. The raiders would not have an easy fight. Zara checked her armor again. The metal plates felt cold against her skin. For a moment, Kian remembered the woman without armor. He saw her strength then, not in metal, but in her eyes and heart. "Zara," Kian said softly, "why do you keep fighting, even when it is so hard?" She looked at him, surprised by the question. "Because no one else will," she said, "if I do not stand." "Who will protect the colony?" "My family." Kian nodded. "That makes sense. But you also need to protect yourself." Zara's lips curved in a small smile. "I do. This armor is part of that." They shared a quiet moment before the ground trembled. A loud noise came from the sky. The raiders' ships were here. Outside, the colony's defenders took their places. Kian stayed near Zara, watching as she moved with skill and speed. She gave orders clearly. Her voice was calm but strong. People listened. The raiders' ships landed. Machines with sharp edges and dark colors poured out. They moved fast and looked dangerous. Zara took the lead, her weapon ready. She did not hesitate. She fought with power and grace. Kian watched her, amazed by how she moved like a storm. But it was not just strength, it was her mind. She saw the enemy's moves before they happened. She protected those who could not fight. She risked herself to save others. Kian found himself fighting too. He was not a soldier, but he helped where he could. He used tools and machines to slow the raiders down. The battle was fierce, sounds of metal clashing and machines roaring filled the air. Dust rose like smoke. The sky was dark with flying ships and explosions in the chaos. Kian saw Zara take a hit. A raider struck her shoulder. She stumbled but did not fall. Pain flashed across her face, but she pushed through. Kian rushed. "To help, Zara," he shouted. She looked at him and nodded. Together, they fought back. Zara's armor took damage, but she kept going. Kian realized that the armor was more than protection. It was a part of her will to survive. After a long fight, the raiders started to retreat. Their ships lifted into the sky, leaving the colony behind. The defenders cheered. The danger had passed for now. Zara leaned against a wall, breathing hard. Kian stood beside her, trying to hide his worry. "You are hurt," Kian said. Zara smiled tiredly. "It is nothing." Kian shook his head. "You should rest." Zara looked at him. "You care." Kian smiled. "I do." For the first time, Zara dropped the armor plates that were broken. She looked more like the woman Kian had met before the fight. "Thank you," Zara said quietly. Kian felt a warmth in his chest. "We protect each other." She nodded. Yes, as the sun began to set, the colony's people began to rebuild. The fight was over, but the story was not. Kian and Zara sat together, watching the stars come out one by one. Zara spoke softly. "You saw me without the armor today. Do you still see me the same?" Kian looked at her with honest eyes. "I see your strength, not just the armor, but you, the real you." Zara smiled and leaned closer. "Maybe strength is more than metal after all." Kian smiled back. "Yes, it is." The night was calm now. The battle was behind them. But something new was beginning, a bond forged in fire and trust. Kian knew this was just the start. The colony was safe for now, but the stars held many dangers, and together they would face them all. The night was quiet, but the colony knew peace might not last long. The raiders had retreated, but their threat remained. The people worked to repair the damage from the attack. Machines were fixed, barriers rebuilt, and supplies gathered, yet a feeling of worry lingered in the air. Kian walked beside Zara through the busy streets. The moon cast a silver glow on their faces. They moved together, side by side, their steps matching. The events of the day had brought them closer. Kian no longer saw Zara only as a warrior. He saw a person with fears and hopes, someone who carried a heavy burden. Zara stopped near a small hill that overlooked the colony. She looked up at the stars, her eyes reflecting the light. "They will come back," she said quietly. "The raiders are not done." Kian nodded. "What can we do to stop them?" Zara's voice was firm. "We prepare. We learn more about their ships, their weapons. We find out where they come from." Kian looked at her, impressed by her calm and focus. "Do you think the colony can fight them off again?" Zara sighed. "Maybe. But we need more help. We cannot do this alone." Kian's thoughts raced. The colony was small, and the raiders were many. They needed allies, friends from other places. But the colony was far from any other settlement. "We need to send a message," Kian said. "Call for help." Zara looked at him with a spark in her eyes. "Yes, we have a communicator, but the signal is weak. It might take time." Kian smiled. "Time is what we don't have." They returned to the command center, where Marn waited with a small group of engineers. The room was filled with screens showing maps and readings from the scanners. The engineers worked quickly to repair the communication systems. Zara stood tall. "We need to send a message to the nearby stations and colonies. We must warn them." One engineer, Mira, nodded. "I will do everything I can, but the signal range is limited." Kian looked at the maps. "Is there a way to boost the signal? Use the old relay towers?" Mira thought for a moment. "It is possible, but the towers are far. Some are broken from storms," Zara said. "We will send a team to fix them." "Kian, will you come with me?" Kian felt a surge of courage. "Yes, I want to help." Marn gave a small smile. "Be careful. The journey will not be easy." The next morning, Kian and Zara prepared for the mission. They gathered supplies, weapons, and tools. The sun rose slowly over the rocky hills, shining on the colonies. Walls dotted as they set out. Zara wore her armor again. Kian carried a small pack. The two moved together, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The path to the relay towers was rough and full of dangers. The land was rocky, with deep valleys and sharp cliffs. The air was thin and cold at times. They traveled slowly, watching the skies and listening for any signs of danger. During the journey, Kian asked Zara about her past. She told him stories of battles, losses, and moments of hope. Her voice was steady, but Kian could feel the weight behind her words. "You have been through so much," Kian said. "How do you keep going?" Zara looked at him with tired eyes. "Because giving up is not an option. I fight for the people who cannot fight for themselves." Kian admired her strength. "I want to be strong like you." Zara smiled softly. "You already are." "Kian, you just have to believe it." After days of travel, they reached the first relay tower. It was tall and rusty, standing against the sky, like an old guardian. The wind howled around them as they climbed. Zara checked the machinery carefully. "The power is low. We need to repair the main antenna." Kian handed her tools, working beside her. Together, they fixed the broken parts and replaced damaged wires. The tower began to hum with energy. When the signal boosted, they sent the first message. It was a call for help, a warning to nearby colonies about the raiders. As they prepared to move on to the next tower, a strange noise came from the shadows. Kian and Zara looked toward the dark shapes moving among the rocks. Suddenly, a group of creatures appeared. They were not like the raiders. These were wild animals, with sharp claws and glowing eyes. They moved fast, surrounding Kian and Zara. Zara raised her weapon. "Stay close," she said. "We fight together." The creatures lunged forward, but Zara's skill and Kian's quick thinking kept them safe. They used the terrain to their advantage, pushing the creatures back. After a tense struggle, the creatures retreated into the darkness. Kian breathed heavily. That was close. Zara wiped sweat from her brow. "This land is full of dangers. Not just the raiders. They camped near the tower that night. The fire crackled, casting warm light on their faces. Kian looked at Zara. "Why do you fight so hard for this place?" Zara's voice was soft. "Because it is home. Because people here need hope." Kian nodded. "I want to help build that." "Hope?" Zara smiled, her eyes shining in the firelight. "Then we fight together." The next days were full of hard work and careful travel. They fixed more towers and sent more messages. Each time, the signal grew stronger. But the raiders did not stay away. Scouts were spotted near the colony. Zara knew that a bigger attack could come soon. Back at the colony, the people prepared for battle. But they were no longer alone. Help was coming from the stars. Kian and Zara returned as heroes, their mission a success. The bond between them had grown stronger, built on trust and shared struggles. Zara looked at Kian and said, "Together, we are stronger." Kian smiled. "Together, we will protect our home." The stars above shone bright, a promise of hope in the dark sky. The sun rose slowly over the mining colony, casting long shadows across the dusty streets. After their journey to repair the relay towers, Kian and Zara returned to find the colony preparing for a new fight. The raiders were coming back, this time with more ships and more weapons. The people moved quickly, but there was fear in their eyes. This fight would be harder than the last. Zara stood at the center of the preparations, giving orders and checking defenses. Kian stayed close, ready to help. "We cannot let them take our home," Zara said, her voice steady and strong. "We will stand together." Kian nodded. He wanted to believe they could win. He wanted to believe in the strength Zara showed every day. The colony's defenders gathered near the main gate. Men and women held weapons of all kinds, from simple tools to advanced rifles. They were not soldiers, but they were ready to fight. Zara looked over the group and spoke quietly to Kian. "Today, we fight not just for survival, but for our future." Kian felt the weight of her words. He glanced at the people around them, friends, neighbors, and strangers all united by one cause. Suddenly, the ground shook with the roar of engines. The raiders' ships appeared on the horizon like dark shadows moving fast. Dust rose as their machines landed near the colony walls. Zara raised her weapon. "Hold your positions. Watch your flanks." The first wave of raiders rushed forward. They were fierce and well-armed, but the colony defenders held their ground. Kian found himself beside Zara in the middle of the battle. The air was filled with noise, shouts, weapons firing, and the sound of metal clashing. Zara moved like a force of nature. She led the charge, protecting those who needed help. Her armor gleamed as she fought, but it was her quick mind and courage that made the difference. Kian saw a young defender fall. Without thinking, he ran forward to help. Zara covered him, fighting off raiders who tried to attack. Together, they moved through the chaos, saving lives and pushing back the enemy. At one point, Zara was caught off guard by a raider with a heavy weapon. Kian saw the danger and shouted a warning. He jumped in front of her, taking the hit instead. Pain shot through Kian's side, but he did not fall. Zara grabbed him and pulled him behind a barrier. "You are hurt," she said, her voice full of worry. Kian shook his head. "I'm fine. Keep fighting." Zara's eyes softened. "You saved me." Kian smiled weakly. "We save each other." The battle raged on, but the colony defenders grew stronger with every passing minute. Their unity and determination made them hard to break. Zara fought with renewed strength. Inspired by Kian's bravery, she pushed forward, leading the defenders in a final charge against the raiders. The enemy began to retreat, their machines breaking down and their soldiers falling back. When the last raider ship lifted off, the colony erupted in cheers. The fight was over. Zara and Kian stood together, breathing heavily but alive. Around them, people hugged and celebrated their victory. Marn approached and smiled. "You both did well. Your teamwork saved many lives." Zara looked at Kian. "We are stronger together." Kian nodded. "Yes, together, we can face anything." That night, the colony held a small celebration. Fires burned brightly, and stories were shared. Kian and Zara sat side by side, Feeling the warmth of friendship and trust, Zara spoke softly. I never thought I would find someone to fight with like this. Kian smiled. Neither did I. You taught me a lot. They looked up at the stars, shining far above the dark sky. We protect our home, Zara said, and we protect each other. Kian agreed. Always. As the celebration continued, Kian knew this was just the beginning. The bond they formed in battle was strong, and together they would face whatever the future held. The days after the battle passed slowly. The colony repaired the damage and healed the wounded. Life returned to its usual rhythm, but a new feeling of hope grew among the people. Kian and Zara's bravery inspired many, and the colony felt stronger than ever. One evening, as the sun dipped below the rocky horizon, Zara and Kian stood outside the command center. The sky was painted with orange and purple colors. The air was cool and calm. Suddenly, a strange sound broke the quiet. A low hum came from the valley. Zara's eyes narrowed. What is that? Kian looked toward the source. A small ship was landing near the edge of the colony. It was unlike any ship they had seen before. Sleek and smooth, with lights that pulsed. Gently, the colony's guards quickly surrounded the landing area. Zara and Kian stepped forward to meet whoever was inside. The ship's door opened slowly. A figure stepped out. He was tall and wore a uniform made of a shiny material. His face was calm, with kind eyes that looked around carefully. I come in peace, the stranger said. My name is Aaron. I am from the United Space Council. Zara raised an eyebrow. The United Space Council. We have heard of them, but no one has visited us before. Aaron smiled. We have been watching your colony. We saw how you defended yourselves against the raiders. Your courage is impressive. Kian felt a spark of pride. We are just trying to survive. Aaron nodded. Survival is the first step, but there is more to the universe than fighting. The council wants to offer help and friendship. Zara looked at Kian, then back at Aaron. What kind of help? Aaron explained. We can provide weapons, technology, and training. We want to protect colonies like yours from threats. Together, we can build a safer future. Martin stepped forward. That sounds good, but why now? Why did you come today? Aaron's face grew serious. The raiders you fought are part of a larger group. They are spreading across the sector, attacking many colonies. The council is preparing to act, but we need allies. Your colony can be one of them. Zara's eyes flashed with determination. We will do what we can, Kian smiled. We want to help. Aaron nodded. Good. We will set up a base nearby. Our ships and soldiers will be here soon. The colony's people gathered to hear the news. Some were excited, others nervous. Change was coming. That night, Kian and Zara talked quietly by the fire. The stars shone above, but their minds were busy. Do you trust them? Kian asked. Zara thought for a moment. I don't know, but we need their help. The raiders are growing stronger. Kian nodded. We have to be careful. Days passed, and the council's base was built near the colony. Soldiers and engineers arrived, bringing new machines and supplies. They trained the colony's defenders in new ways to fight and protect. Kian learned quickly. He practiced with new weapons and tactics. Zara led training sessions, pushing everyone to be ready. The bond between the colony and the council grew, but not everyone trusted the strangers. One evening, while Zara inspected the perimeter, she noticed something unusual. A small group of raiders was sneaking near the council's base. She called Kian. We have to stop them before they cause damage. Kian and Zara gathered a small team and moved quietly through the dark. The raiders were caught off guard when they were surrounded. The fight was quick but fierce. Zara's leadership and Kian's bravery made the difference. The raiders were captured, and the base was safe. Aaron came to thank them. You did well. Your skills are strong. Zara smiled. We protect our home, no matter who tries to hurt it. Kian looked at Aaron. Thank you for your help. But we must stay alert. Aaron nodded. Agreed. Together, we will face the dangers ahead. As the days turned into weeks, the colony grew stronger and safer. The council's presence brought new hope and new challenges. Kian and Zara worked side by side, ready for whatever came next. Their friendship deepened. They trusted each other like never before. In the quiet moments, they shared dreams of a future beyond the rocky hills and dusty skies. One night, under a sky full of stars, Zara looked at Kian and said, "We have come far, but the journey is just beginning." Kian smiled. "Together, we can face anything." The stars above twinkled like promises, and the colony was ready for the future. The colony had grown stronger with the help of the United Space Council. New technology and weapons had arrived. The people trained hard every day. The raiders had become more cautious, but the threat still loomed like a shadow over the land. Kian and Zara worked together constantly. Their friendship had turned into a deep trust. They spent hours planning defenses and training the colony's defenders. Zara's armor had new parts, stronger and lighter. Kian learned how to use weapons with skill. Together, they were ready. One morning, the sky was clear and bright. Kian walked through the colony's market, greeting people who worked and traded. The small town felt alive and hopeful. Children laughed as they ran between stalls. The scent of fresh food filled the air. Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed through the streets. People stopped and looked around. Worried. Zara appeared, running toward the center of the colony. "Raiders are coming," she shouted. "Get ready to defend the colony." Kian felt his heart race. The raiders had found them again. The defenders took their positions. Zara moved quickly, giving orders. "Protect the gates. Watch the skies. Do not let them inside." The raiders arrived in force. Their ships darkened the sky as they landed with heavy noise. Soldiers poured out, ready to fight. Zara stood at the front line, her armor shining in the sunlight. Kian was beside her, holding a powerful rifle. Together, they faced the enemy. The battle was fierce and loud. Explosions shook the ground. People shouted as weapons fired. The raiders pushed hard, but the colony's defenders fought back with courage. Kian saw a group of raiders trying to sneak around the side walls. He called out to Zara, "They are trying to flank us." Zara nodded quickly. "Take the left side. I will hold the front." Kian moved fast with a small team. They met the raiders in a narrow alley. The fight was close and dangerous. Kian used his new skills, aiming carefully. The raiders were strong, but the defenders were stronger. Meanwhile, Zara held the front line alone. Her armor took many hits, but she did not fall. She fought with fierce determination. Her voice shouted orders, inspiring everyone to stand firm. Suddenly, a loud explosion came from behind Zara. She turned to see one of the raider ships firing a powerful weapon. The blast sent debris flying, and the ground cracked. Kian saw this from the alley and ran towards Zara. He pushed her out of the way just before another blast hit the spot she had been standing. Dust and smoke filled the air. Zara looked at Kian, breathing hard. "Thank you." Kian smiled, feeling relief. "We protect each other." The battle continued for hours. Both sides fought with all their strength. The colony defenders slowly pushed the raiders back. The raiders' ships started to leave the ground one by one. Finally, the raiders retreated. The colony was safe again, but the cost was clear. Buildings were damaged, and some defenders were hurt. Zara and Kian checked on everyone. Their hearts were heavy, but their spirits were not broken. Later, at the command center, Marn spoke to the leaders. "The raiders will return. We must find out where they come from and stop them for good." Aaron from the United Space Council stepped forward. "We have learned more about the raiders' base. It is far from here, in a dangerous part of the sector." Zara looked determined. "We need to act. We cannot wait for the next attack." Kian nodded. "We go to their base. We end this," Marn agreed. "It is a dangerous mission, but it may be the only way to protect our home." Zara, Kian, and a small team prepared for the journey. They gathered supplies, weapons, and new armor. The people of the colony watched, proud but worried. Before leaving, Zara spoke to Kian. "This mission will test us, but I believe in us." Kian smiled. "Together, we are strong." The team left the colony under the cover of night. The stars guided their path as they traveled through the dark space between worlds. The journey was long and filled with challenges. They passed through asteroid fields and avoided dangerous storms. The team worked together, sharing stories in hopes. Finally, they reached the Raiders' base. It was a large station built into a rocky asteroid. The place looked cold and empty, but the danger was very real. Zara and Kian led the team carefully. Inside, the Raiders had traps and guards ready. The team moved quietly, using their training and skills to avoid detection. Suddenly, alarms blared. The Raiders had found them. A fierce fight broke out inside the station. Zara fought with skill and courage. Kian supported her, covering the team as they moved forward. They reached the center of the base, where the Raiders' leader waited. He was a tall man with a cruel smile. "You should not have come here," he said. "This is our territory." Zara stepped forward. "This colony is our home. We will not let you take it." The battle began. The Raiders' leader fought with strength and skill, but Zara and Kian worked as one. Their teamwork was perfect. They dodged attacks and struck back with power. In the end, Zara's quick thinking and Kian's bravery won the fight. The Raiders' leader fell, and the base was theirs. The team destroyed the station's weapons and communication systems. They sent a message to the colony, telling them the mission was a success. As they left the base, Zara looked at Kian. "We did it?" Kian smiled. "Yes, but we must always be ready." The stars outside shone bright. The colony was safe, for now, but Kian and Zara knew the fight for peace never truly ends. The journey back to the colony was quiet but filled with hope. The team flew through the stars, carrying news of their victory. Kian and Zara sat together near the window of their small ship. Outside, the vast universe stretched endlessly, full of light and mystery. Zara looked at the glowing stars. "We fought hard, but now we have peace." Kian smiled. "Yes, but peace is something we must protect every day." The others in the team rested or checked equipment. Everyone was tired but proud. They had taken a great risk and won. When the colony's walls appeared in the distance, people gathered to welcome them. Cheers filled the air. Fires burned bright. Children ran to meet the heroes. Mar met them at the gate, his face full of relief. "You brought us hope." Zara stepped forward and spoke to the crowd. "This victory is for all of us, for every person who stood strong, for every hand that helped build this home." Kian nodded. "We are a family. Together, we will face the future." Days passed, and life returned to normal. The colony rebuilt stronger and safer than before. The United Space Council remained nearby, ready to help if danger came again. Zara and Kian spent time training the new defenders. They shared lessons learned from battles and journeys. The people grew stronger with every passing day. One evening, under a clear sky, Zara and Kian sat outside the command center. The air was cool, and the stars twinkled above. Zara smiled. "Do you remember when we first met? I never imagined we would come this far." Kian laughed softly. "Neither did I, but I'm glad we did." They looked at the colony, now peaceful and alive. Gardens grew between the buildings. Children played freely. The future looked bright. Suddenly, a small voice called out. A child ran to them, holding a simple wooden toy. "Look what I made." The child said proudly. Zara and Kian smiled and praised the child's work. "It was a small moment but full of meaning," Zara said. "This is why we fight. For moments like this." Kian agreed. "For hope, for home." Weeks later, Aaron from the United Space Council invited Zara and Kian to a meeting. He had news about the sector. "The Raiders have lost their power," Aaron said. "Other colonies are joining together. We will build a strong alliance to protect peace." Zara nodded. "That is good news." Kian smiled. "It means we are not alone." Aaron looked at them kindly. "Your colony has become a symbol of courage and unity. Others look to you for strength." Zara felt proud but humble. "We did not do it alone," Kian added. "We all fought together." The meeting ended with plans for the future. More ships, more training, and more friendships between the colonies. Back in the colony, life moved forward. Kian and Zara walked through the streets, feeling the warmth of their people's trust. One day, Zara said, "There is still much to do. But I believe in us. Kian smiled. Together, we can build anything. As the sun set, painting the sky with colors of gold and red, Kian and Zer stood side by side. The stars appeared again, bright and full of promise. The colony was safe, the people were strong, and a new dawn was beginning.